Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I'll be providing my book review of the book Catching Fire, the second book in the Hunger Games series by Suzanne Collins. I just recently read for the first time ever The Hunger Games about a month ago. I loved it. I have a very torn and tattered copy. I apologize because I bought it used for really cheap, and I absolutely loved the experience of reading it. I kind of did a hybrid where I read the audiobook for the first half and the physical book for the second half, and it was just a delight. I was blown away by it. I've watched the movies first. I know that's heresy, and I rarely ever do that, but there were extenuating circumstances that I explain in that video. But I watched the movies first, and then I read the books, and I loved what book one had that the movie didn't, but I thought the movie was a pretty good adaptation, and I feel the exact same way about book two. There is a lot more, I think, in book two that they couldn't fit into the film because of the way they did things, but it's understandable why the film did it, but it makes the book so much better because there's like this added material that makes it so worth it. So I really enjoyed the process of reading this book. What makes this book different from book one is book one, the first third is the lead up for the Hunger Games, and then the next 2/3 are the Hunger Games. In this book, you have 2/3 of the book is the lead up, and then only the last third is the action. So the action is crammed into this 1/3 of the book, so it's much faster, much more propulsive, and so it makes the book at the end move really quickly. The beginning is a very slow burn, but because it's all about the political situation and the family and character dynamics, it works really well. Suzanne Collins is able to, in this book particularly, really make the audience feel for the characters. I liked Katniss in book one, but I was more a fan of Peeta. But in this book, Katniss grew on me, and I actually really liked her as a character. And I thought that also Haymitch grew on me a little bit. And I thought that some of the other characters worked a lot better as well, including Gale, who I'm not a fan of Gale, but he worked better than he did in book one for me. And so this made this book even more enjoyable. And the political situation is what I find most fascinating because you have the unrest in the other districts, and the capital just can't just like murder a bunch of people because they need those people to do work. So they kind of have to pick and choose who they're going to kill, who they're going to let live, and also they can't just kill Katniss because that would cause an even bigger uproar, but they also can't let her keep doing what she's been doing because her actions have been inadvertently creating more uproar. So there's all this wonderful political setup that really propels you into book three, and the groundwork's all laid in the first 2/3 of this book. And I thought that the way that Suzanne Collins was able to lay hints was very much actually the way that maybe someone like J.K. Rowling would lay hints at the beginning of her books that would pay off later. And I really liked how, despite how short this book is, it feels epic and big and big in scope. And there doesn't feel like there's dead space. I don't think that there's anywhere in this book that I'm like, man, you could cut that out and the book would be fine. There's one scene in particular that I can remember from book one that I felt that way, but I feel like every scene in this book feels like it was necessary for the book, and so I was very, very happy with that. I also I liked the romance stuff in this book. I also liked getting to see the other tributes, and what this book has that the movie doesn't have is the further explanation onto the previous games, specifically Haymitch's Quarter Quell when he was the champion, and we get to see some of the footage, read it on the page, but the characters see the footage, they learn what happened to Haymitch and why he's so broken up, why it's so hard for him to keep going, and I really thought that added a lot to his character, and I thought that was a good moment in the book. I also thought that there's the moment in the movie that I saw first, and then I read in the book, and I think it's well done in both places, but it's so well done in the movie where they're in the interviews, and Peeta lets slip that it's the baby, that the baby that's not actually the baby. I thought that was pure brilliance on Peeta's part and on the way they shot it and filmed it. I was in a room with a bunch of my friends, and when that moment happened, I stood up and said, yes! Because I was like, that is a brilliant timed, brilliantly produced moment that really causes the Capitol to not know what to do. And it causes an uproar, and it causes Caesar Flickerman to just be like, wait, what? I thought it was just hilariously brilliant. And it's really also hilariously brilliant in the book, too. It's just if I had read the book first before the movie, I would have had the reverse feelings where I'd be talking about the book in that way. But still, it's so well done in the book as well. And I think that there's good... It's a good lead up for the movie as well. And I just like whenever they're able to pull something on pull a switcheroo. Like the moment when Peeta confesses his love in book 1, I thought was pretty well timed, and that's why I think Peeta's. And then you have Haymitch, who's basically orchestrating. You realize Haymitch is a lot smarter than he lets on. He's much more manipulative in a good way. He helps plan everything out in this book, and I like the way that he lays the groundwork for book 3. And I think that if you didn't have Haymitch, if they had kept him as just the drunk who's just a drunk mentor, I think that it would have gotten stale. But because you realize he's actually this really Machiavellian maneuverer, I think it really makes his character better. So as a whole, I really enjoyed the process of reading this book. I actually feel like the action in this book isn't necessarily as good as the action in book 1, because I think it's clear to understand. There's more fantastical elements to the action in here, whereas the action in here is very cut and dry, kids murdering kids. Whereas there's demon monkeys, there's showers of blood, there's all this weird stuff happening. So this one, I think, takes the action better, but this one has better pacing, and it has the political sense. So they're kind of close to me, but I would personally give this a 9.1, just a slight edge over this, which I gave a 9.0. But I give this a 9.1, a very, very great book. And if I feel the same way about book 3, this is up there in my favorite YA series, although I haven't read too many YA series, so that's not too surprising. But I highly enjoyed this book. If you've read this book, let me know in the comments section down below what your thoughts were. Let me know which book in the series is your favorite and what you think of me reviewing the third book. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.